Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for staying for this insightful panel discussion that we have. The topic of our discussion is fast fashion success, and we have a very exciting set of panelists here. I want to request all the panelists to maybe take a minute and give us a quick introduction about themselves and their brands. We can start with you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rahul Bhalla. I'm the co-founder of Latin Quarters. We're a women's Western wear brand. We've been around for about 17 years, and we are available in our own stores, online, and large format department stores. Thank you.
Hi, this is Apoorv. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Iconic Fashion India. We are basically a retailer, a large format retailer, playing in the premium to super premium space. In this process, we also have brands with us which we exclusively distribute in Indian market, like GAN, True Religion, DKNY, Kavali, and many more. It's been a journey. It's been a journey of almost 10 years, fighting against odd, creating a space for yourself in the premium market. And today we stand tall. We do some good business. We have some great stores and we have some great brands. So looking forward for this session.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Ayushi Gudwani. I'm the founder and CEO of FS Life. It's a house of brands. We started online about 7 years ago. We have 3 brands to our portfolio right now. One is called FableStreet. It's a premium Western wear brand for women. Another one is Pinkfort, which is a modern Indian wear brand. And then third is March, which is a fine silver jewelry brand for us. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nitya Sharma, CEO and co-founder of Simpl. We are not a brand, but we power a lot of brands here. What Simpl is it's a one-click checkout and a post-purchase experience platform. And the vision of the product is to deliver an Amazon-like experience on every website on the planet. And specifically, we work a lot with fashion, online fashion brands and marketplaces like Libas, Niche, and Myntra.
Hi, I'm Manish Kapur. I head the business for Pepe Jeans for India. We are primarily the biggest fashion-led denim lifestyle brand in the country. Globally, we are part of the AWWG group, All We Wear group. And apart from Pepe, we also own brands like Hackett and Façonnable.
Hello, everyone. This is Anupam Bunel. I represent a group called Liberty Shoes. I think most of you would have known this. We started way back in, I would say, 80s, where we were the trendsetters of footwear and redefined how footwear and mechanized footwear was transformed in India, and to give first Indian brand. And we have evolved ourselves to a retailing company and an innovative fashion company. And the challenge, or I would say the opportunities lies with us, is how Indianness or the Indian consumer can be enticed with Indian consumer. And today, proudly, we say that we connect with Indian consumer very well, and we want more youthful consumers to keep on connecting with us. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much for the introductions, everyone. And I want to start with you, Ayushi, and sort of pick on the last conversation we were having outside. How does one define a fast fashion brand in India? That's a question that Apoorv really wants, to be answered. And how have you seen the landscape evolve in India in this respect?
So we were debating about this just before the session. I think fast fashion, first of all, is a fairly abused word. A lot of us don't even fully know what is fast fashion or how do we refer to fast fashion. In a traditional consumer sense, fast fashion basically means you have fresh launches and, runway to store in a very short span. That's what fast fashion means. And that's the core traditional sense. There was a time when Zara used to be called fast fashion because they would take 6 weeks from, runway to store. Now it is 2 weeks for a lot of brands. So that's what fast fashion looks like. So that's how at least I define fast fashion. There is also a completely supportive supply chain on fast fashion, which is an agile or a fast fashion supply chain, which is a different world which a lot of brands at the back end would do. But that's a second definition of fast fashion. But traditional sense, that's what fast fashion means. In terms of the emerging trends for fast fashion, I think number one, with the onset of consumption and so much of content that has been created, overall fast fashion has become extremely relevant. Consumers are looking for freshness literally handed over to them like yesterday as opposed to even tomorrow. And that's what's it's coming up very, very strongly. So that's the core trend that we are clearly seeing. At the same time, the 2, 3 additional trends that we are seeing is that, consumers are becoming less brand loyal the moment it starts coming to fast fashion. It is actually a lot of younger group, starting with tweens, as we call it, starting with the 13 years of age to probably around 30, which is where the fast fashion as a segment and section is more prominent. As you evolve in your journey of being a consumer, or probably at times age sensitive, you also realize that you become more conducive towards timeless pieces, sustainable pieces, etc. So the relevance is more in the younger TG, as we see, as compared to a relatively older TG. Brand loyalty has started reducing a lot, is what we are consistently seeing from a fast fashion perspective. We, of course, don't run a full-fledged fast fashion brand. We are actually an agile fast fashion supply chain, but a timeless brand from a consumer point of view. So therefore, loyalty matters a lot to us. Apoorv, why don't you add something?
Yeah. So in our business, what we've seen in terms of fast fashion is that menswear is more brand driven. What we have seen, men's in our country, they love buying brands. As opposed to that, the women's game and the kids' game is becoming more oriented towards fast fashion. Fast fashion is, it's an easier topic to discuss, difficult to implement because of a lot of challenges that we face. Fast fashion means low on inventory, faster supply chain, more agility, closer to the customer. And all these new words are becoming difficult in today's scenario because there are a lot of challenges in India. There are challenges of fabric sourcing that we face in our Western women's wear brands, where there's a lot of dependency on China. And with the new laws coming into place, imports from China are becoming difficult day by day. Earlier, we used to take 10 days to import. Now we take a month to import because of the new regulations. So fast fashion is a game which, it's changing. It's changing. It's becoming more difficult to execute. But at the same time, there's a lot of newness coming in the market. There's a lot of celebrity-backed fast fashion, I would say, where suddenly something becomes a trend in a week's time, and everybody's running after that. Now you need to be part of that. You can't ignore that. So we are also building our supply chain accordingly. There's a lot of freshness that we add to the store now, which is dependent on the trend of the day. And that is giving results in both the women's business and the kids' business, where we see the traction more towards this side.
Thank you. Thank you for the inputs and some very important threads mentioned there that we'd like to discuss. I want to come to you, Anupam, and understand that in a fast fashion space where the consumer is really spoiled for choices and there's so much of celebrity and trend-driven demand, how does one even define brand loyalty? And your perspective on it from the side of a traditional retailer? Yeah.
So it's a very interesting space to be in, So while I heard my colleagues talk about fast fashion and how it is important to get a new product just in 2 weeks from runway to, the shelf, I definitely feel fashion is comfort, So being comfortable and in your own shoes is very, very important. While being fashionable is equally important. I see a big set of consumer who focuses on comfort. They focus on their real own style rather than aping everybody's style. So there is a big transformation on quality, the product standards, and I think the Indian consumer is also evolving over there. Comfort is a very, very important factor, and I think a lot of people see comfort as the fashion. While there is a youth which is definitely looking to I would not use word ape. I would say take inspiration from fashion, which is important. And I think they have both sides of consumption. I think consumption pattern in India is increasing. There are time and occasion where you want to be fashion, and there are times and occasions. So as a traditional brand, we need to keep our legacy and ethos intact. At the same time, evolve with the changing times. At Liberty, we definitely want to evolve, but not as fast to focus my energy to get fashion runway to my stores within, I would say, 2 weeks. We would wait, watch fashion to become stable, and give consumer a more robust product, a more quality-oriented product, and the perfect fit.
Got it. Got it. Manish, your thoughts on this while juggling between the two, giving the customer a premium experience in terms of product with taking, your sweet time and in a 2 week design to shelf landscape. What has been your experience in building a loyal customer base for your brand?
So see, effectively, as in, if you look at it, as in, you can't buy loyalty. Loyalty, as in, from a brand's perspective, there are two ways to do it. One important thing is that in terms of you keep on delivering the brand promise, the brand proposition that you have. Secondly, in terms of, so think of it how traditional brands were built. As in, you would build a persona that a consumer would relate to, and then the consumer would keep coming back to you because he feels that he relates to this brand. So effectively, he's comfortable, like what Anupam said, in terms of what he wants to be, and he feels that this brand fits him. So, and then again, what you do is that whether you are doing something which is in trend or in fashion, you actually interpret that particular trend into a language of your brand, and then the consumer accepts it because then he feels that it is something which is individual to him. It's not something which is just coming off like a commodity. So I think that's how the traditional sense in terms of how great brands were built, loyalties were built. They were never built on discounts. They were never built on points or any of those sort of fancy things. So effectively, it was an experience wherein the consumer related to the brand and they would identify themselves with the brand. So everything, so, and then it became easier for brands to do category extensions also. So you were doing shirts or denim or something, and tomorrow you wanted to do footwear, but then you ensured that the footwear also had the same language that you were doing on all your categories, and then that same consumer would come to you for those categories also. So that's how, as in one part of brand building, and that whole loyalty was built. The second part is that when you look at fast fashion, as in the reality is that the name itself is there, as in the consumer is asking from you that you have to give, which is like off the ramp in a quick sort of a turnaround. And then the reality is that because this is going to change over a period of time, he's also looking at value in terms of price. So if you're not able to match that price value equation and you say, okay, I'll give you fashion, but it's going to be expensive because my value chain cannot match up to this, that's not going to work. You do it right and you keep delivering it day on day, year on year. That's how you build royalty. The minute, as in you say that this is a trend and I have missed it by 3 weeks or 4 weeks, you're not fast fashion and the consumer is going to run away from you. So I think that's how, as in I look at the perspective on loyalty from a traditional perspective and a fast fashion perspective. And that's how we have built Pepe in terms of saying that the proposition, wherever we interpret a trend, we interpret a design, it has to be a language which is in line with the brand so that we are always speaking to our core consumer. But at the same time, if there is something that as in is in trend, are we able to give it in time to the consumer, but with a language of our own?
Got it. Got it. Rahul, just building on this, in today's fast fashion landscape, is speed equivalent to a good customer experience? If not, then how do we define, a customer experience in a fast space?
I'm not really sure if speed can be associated with good customer experience. I think what is important is that you need to understand your consumer. You need to understand what their needs are. So not necessary, I'm speaking from my experience, not necessary every trend needs to be incorporated in your collection. Not necessary every customer wants what globally trend says. India is a combination of a lot of countries on its own. So what generally works in the West cannot be cut, copy, pasted in India. We have to understand what our customer wants. Just between North and South, East and West, the tastes are different, the colors are different, the sizes are different. So I think with speed also there is compromise of quality sometimes. So you need to have a good balance between making sure you are up to trend, but you're not giving the customer a half-baked product. That's also where a lot of people go wrong. In terms of customer experience of fast fashion, I think it's the customer experience would kind of remain the same if it's fast fashion, slow fashion, or anything. I think customer wants to be appreciated. The customer wants to be heard. And the difference between retail 10 years ago and now, I think there's more individual customer service rather than a blanket approach. Uh, since you have offline, you have online, you have retail stores, you have department stores, I think the consumer wants to be heard across each of these avenues, and they wanted to be treated separately. They want that in online you understand their needs, which can differ from an offline store, and each customer experience has to be curated based on their requirements. So I think you can't just have a blanket approach of taking global fashion and putting it across every region of India.
Got it. So there's a constant need for personalization.
There is more now, more in the digital age. Social media, everybody is already made his decision beforehand. If you're not providing a good customer service, it's very easy to spread the news around that this company is not, doing well. On the other hand, if you give a good customer service, you'll get organic growth without even investing any money. So, because of the kind of age we live in, we have to be more sensitive to our actions. We have to be more thoughtful on what the customer is trying to do and just understand their needs rather than pushing what you are selling to them.
Nitya, I want to get your inputs on this as a brand which works with a lot of retailers and new age and upcoming fashion brands. How do you think they should be prioritizing customer experience, and what are the key areas where these retailers need to be investing into?
Yeah. Before I answer the question, I just want to quickly put my hat on fast fashion. I think from a metric point of view, fast fashion means high repeat purchases because the customer is just buying again and again, often not because they need it. It's retail therapy. It's fun, right? We all know this. So I think that's how we think about fast fashion. And therefore, customer experience, wherever the customer is interacting with a brand, whether it's a physical store or a digital store, becomes extremely important because this is not like once a year sort of interaction. It's like, let's say every 15 days or maybe sometimes every second, third day. When we try to unbundle customer experience, we try to ask the question, there is a digital format of selling to a customer, and then there is a physical format to sending to a customer through your physical store. And if you think about it, most of us as human beings for the last 10,000 years have been buying in the physical format. And so if you go to, let's say Zara today in their store, how do you buy? You go, you touch, you feel, you like it, and you may like five of the shirts, and then you go to the trial room, you try, you make sure it fits you, you like it, and upon being satisfied, you go and pay, right? Now imagine you change that user experience to kind of like the moment I would say, hey, I want to try this, so like, no, please pay for it first. I mean, I think we can all agree that retention will drop by maybe 90%, right? Now, if you think about e-commerce and your own D2C store, we are there, right? We are asking consumers to pay first, and then hopefully you like it, and then if you don't like it, this will happen, that will happen. And naturally, that means a lot of people just don't buy online. Fashion is one of the least penetrated online categories right now, right? And so we at Simpl, the problem that we see as consumer experiences, of course, the elements of one click and ease and so on. But very importantly, how do you build trust? Because in the physical world, you build trust through trials and so on. And one has to redefine trust and the sort of the elements of experience that will build trust. And that's where we kind of like think about our role at Simpl. We kind of like have a full stack checkout and post-purchase experience platform, which, as I said, powers like an Amazon type experience of checkout and returns, refunds, and so on. So the consumer, when they're buying online, they can just, like, the way we think about it is just press a button and don't worry about it, right? One of the things is we started Simpl like assuming what if there is a khata for all online stores. So that's how we think about Simpl. And khata is really, it's not a payment product. It's really a buying product, right? I mean, khata allows you to buy, and the way we think about buying at Simpl is the best payment experience is no experience, right? So the way we think about how do we help our partners is how do you make the payment experience zero and power trust in the purchase so that more people buy, so conversions are higher, retention is higher because if you have a better experience, people feel safe, they just press a button, and then very importantly, they do not buy with COD because COD is where all the things go wrong for everyone.
Okay. Quick comment from you, Anupam, on this. As an offline heavy brand and going omni-channel, right, in this evolving landscape, how crucial do you see the importance of a seamless and payment experience in building this trust?
So definitely, it's a very, very important experience. And I think these are like hygiene factors for anybody to do ease of payment and not getting complicated into the website trying to figure out. And I think that's the most important thing. And I've seen a big trend moving even in our offline stores. Almost 70 to 80% transaction is happening toward from credit cards and UPS, even in small towns. So I think there's a big shift of consumer in digital payments, or I would say online payments to UPS. I think it's a wonderful thing. So convenience of shopping is definitely, and I think I really support the fact that COD was, while it was giving experience to the consumer, but for a brand, it was like a mammoth task because people would not even think twice, order. And I think the returns or exchanges went up to almost 30%, which is a national waste. For a temporary purposes, it was okay for consumer to get an experience, but I think we need to encourage serious customers to do that rather than for the heck of it. So I think it's a great initiative, and I would like to support digital payments and not really CODs.
Got it. Right.
Pallavi, I'll just, as in on this whole thing about consumer experience, I'll just between online and offline, since we touched on that, I think when you look at it, as in you have to also define in terms of how do you differentiate online, as in experiences for a consumer between online and offline. So there are certain things. So think of it when we started selling offline, as in how do you display a product, as in that plays a very important role. Second thing is how do you talk about a product. So one thing is that you have your sales associate talk about it. Second thing, what we started doing, or everybody started doing, was you have a tag wherein you talk about the story, wherein if there is something special about it, as in you put it there, you say that this is made out of this special yarn or whatever processes that are involved, and that's how you tell a story to the consumer. Now, how do you translate this online? So your catalog, as in terms of how do you shoot, that becomes very, very important. Initially, when online was nascent, especially on fashion, as in it was only like as in put in 3 standard shots or 5 standard shots and it's done. Now you say no, as in you need to have a video, you need to be able to actually portray the lifestyle rather than just displaying the product that has to be sold. Your content in terms of what you put in terms of your description, that becomes important. And then importantly, as in from a consumer experience point of view today, the delivery timelines. So think of it as in you get a product 5 days post ordering, you get a product in 2 hours post ordering. We have seen empirically for us, we run a pretty decent online business of our own. For every single day of delivery that we reduce, our returns have reduced by 17%. Think of it, if you order something, a dress, and you get a delivery in 2 hours, probably you need it for sure, and the return rates will go down drastically. So I think though you have to also define in terms of how are you able to differentiate consumer experiences and what are the experiences that are important for a consumer between these various as in modes that you are interacting with them.
Okay. So great
Pallavi there, I think just one more experience which I want to share, very interesting piece. So, now I don't talk about pandemic because it's old age. 4 years back. But 4 years back, our stores shut, and we had no option then to go to the customer and take the store to the customer. And in the last 3 years, what we've learned is a very interesting thing that people talk about online, people talk about offline, but there is a subset, and we see today 8% of our business comes from video shopping. Now I call that online shopping because technically a customer is not seeing the physical product. He's trusting our customer care associate to make a choice for him or her. And this is a very interesting piece because what we've seen is that with a loyalty base, we have started this concept of loyalty shopping through video shopping. And out here, what happens is that we've created a base of customers who contribute about 40% to our business now, who actually shop on the advice of the customer associate. So now, and just an example, a call comes in Ahmedabad from an entrepreneur saying that I have a wedding tomorrow. Actually, I have a wedding, pre-wedding function. What should I wear? The theme is white. Now, our customer care associate creates the theme, does a video shopping, delivers their product in 3 hours, altered in their size, because we already have the size. Now, this is experience. Now, this is where the new concept of online with offline comes in. Right? This is the beauty of it. And last year, this used to contribute about 4%. This year, it's contributing 8%. And these are things which are differentiating us. And we being a premium player, where average bill value is 6,500 rupees, we cannot do without them now. So this is an interesting piece, and I see this happening more and more now in our space. Thanks.
No, you're absolutely right. I think assisted retail, along with the blurring lines between offline and online, is the future of how we see retail going forward. Rahul, I want to get your inputs on, as much as we talk about, the different components of fast fashion, so the customer is looking for faster products, newer products, affordability also, at the center of it. In this entire process, how crucial does having an agile supply chain, becomes, and what does this mean in this particular context?
So I think like Ayushi had mentioned earlier, supply chain probably is the most important part of this whole fast fashion sector. Any retailer, any brand, any part of the world now is mostly into global sourcing. So all of us sitting here, all the brands that are representing here, everybody's sourcing something from India, something from China, Hong Kong, wherever. And a delay in any of this process can have a major impact on the entire supply chain. So if you look at a brand like Zara, people say Zara is where it is because it makes very good product. I tend to disagree. I say Zara is where it is because it makes those products at a supply chain which none of the other guys can manage. So it's obviously product goes without saying that has to be the key. The quality has to be, but everything, whatever brings everything together is the supply chain, is how efficient you are in your supply chain, how logistics plays a very important part of the fast fashion business. People want, like I said, goods coming in 2 hours' time is a very big plus for the customer. And all of this is going to make fast fashion even easier or more difficult going forward so people who can control their inventory, razor sharp allocation to the stores. I think retailers need to spend a lot of time and energy to understand what works in which city, which state, and just giving it into their demands. So supply chain, at least for our brand, would probably be the number one thing that we would focus on.
Okay. Anupam, your thoughts here. If we look at the supply chain from a bird's eye view, what are the key pain points that every fast fashion retailer currently is feeling?
So definitely, like I think nobody would disagree on the fact supply chain is most important, and I think we as a retailing company and a manufacturing company put together, we get the advantage of controlling a large part, and we are not really dependent on the third word. So for us, the whole cycle becomes a very important, that whatever is happening at the retail, how fast can we process that information into the trend and leading to a production order, and then production order, multiplying into all the material orders to logistics. I think putting it all together in a single piece to form a decision making and an implementable decision, I think is the most important part for the supply chain. I think today our systems are automated to the level that whatever is happening at the store, we almost get all information processed into data to get into the production unit. So I think while 2 hours is a dream for me, but I think we are able to process our trends in 21 days and do the resupply within 21 days, from sale to manufacturing back to the store. So I think 21 days is a dream for me right now. And I think I've been able to convert a sale into the forward trend and manufacture it back and supply it back. And I think that's what we do. And that's only possible with the help of too much of technology. And I think integrating a lot of these technology pieces have taken too much time. And I think COVID has taught us how we are able to digitally communicate to all our supply chain partners and channel partners. And I think they've started consuming information digitally, and people have a lot more trust on the digital data and been able to use this data into a lot of science, I would say. And I think that has one wonderful for us.
Noted, noted. Ayushi, if you can highlight, some examples or strategies that have worked for your brand to tackle one particular piece of the supply chain issue.
There are a lot actually, and as he was mentioning, supply chain, tech helps a lot. But what we've realized is that when we come in as an outsider, and I'm not traditionally from the fashion industry, the answer on supply chain is very simple. The implementation of it is hardest. Yeah. And that is the reality. We've all learned critical path in our B schools as a process or in our engineering days, and that's the reality, right? If you have a simple tool which can drive information linkages and then ensure that all the elements of critical path are met in time, you can deliver on a very agile supply chain. So that is what we need to focus on, and you have to build implementable solutions across the journey in everything from sourcing to delivery. And we also are a fully integrated manufacturing unit, and we also do the same thing. We do actually design to launch in 2 weeks with supply and sourcing and things hitting the customer. That is how fast we operate. But the core learning in all of this is that you don't change any of the existing processes in sourcing to manufacturing and delivery at all. What you do is you eliminate all aspects of additional time that is used in terms of delivery. So paperwork, eliminate, digital information, clear, things in terms of design, centralize, standardize, fabric sourcing, standardize, operate with limited fabrics, you don't sit on quality risks around this. So those are the ways you basically eliminate all aspects. So there's no one learning, I would say. It is hardcore focus and sharpness of execution with a clear sense of what the outcome you're looking for to be able to solve the agility in supply chain.
Got it. Super insightful. Nitya, a lot of focus comes here on technology and its adoption, its execution. In a retailer's entire journey, from sourcing to selling to the customer, what are some key tech trends you believe that will have a profound impact on how fast fashion shapes up going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. We were just having this discussion before this panel. That when you think about tech and so on, you really have to understand that online commerce is super different from offline commerce, physical commerce. And you can't even mix the two. So if you have to think about tech and everything that you're doing online and offline slightly differently. But the interesting thing is the consumer is the same, right? And therefore you have to connect the dots, right? And so I think what is exciting, I can talk a little bit more on online than offline, but I think what is happening is the interesting thing that we are all witnessing in the world is that the consumer in the online world is used to some of the best experiences in the world, right? You press a button, car shows up, you buy from Amazon and everything is taken care of and so on. And it's possible to reverse this expectation, right? So, and of course, we are talking about delivery timelines. Yeah, people are expecting 10 minutes delivery. It is what it is. And yeah, I mean, I think entrepreneurs and operators have to figure out how do we deliver that expectation to the consumer. Now, of course, these expectations are varied in different type of categories of fashion and otherwise. But I think the interesting thing is, and one thing to appreciate is folks like Amazon and so on have built technology over 25, 30 years. It's not like something that happened overnight. It has taken 25, 30 years. And the thing with technology, when done right, is there's a lot of compounding. And the thing with compounding is all the benefits are in the end and not in the beginning. And so, yeah, it requires a decent amount of work right now. And it will probably not show the biggest result tomorrow or next week, next quarter, next year. But yeah, 2 years, 3 years down the line, it will start showing up. Now, obviously, one thing is true about most brands is not individually people can build like Amazon technology stack themselves, right? Because it doesn't make sense. Which is where I think the interesting trend in the world is people like ourselves, what we call as enablers, right? Any brand can use APIs and basically get what Amazon has within 2 hours, right? 5 years back or 10 years back, it was hard to create an online store. Today, you can go to Shopify and 2 hours you have a store. Anybody can do it. You don't need any experience in technology to do it. Payments used to be hard. Now you 2 API calls and boom, it's ready. Same with shipping, same with customer support, and that is just starting. So I think we are in a very interesting time of technology being in the fabric of e-commerce and commerce in a way where the consumer experience is phenomenal wherever they go, whether it's Amazon or a D2C store, e-commerce store, or a physical store.
Can I add up here, please?
Yes, please.
While we were waiting in the conference room, I think my friend was telling me that he went to Jaipur and there's a new expressway, but still Google didn't show the way to the right expressway, and he still went to the traditional expressway. He didn't use mind, he used only technology. And I think as a traditional brand, and I'm sorry to be sounding very traditional, but I think mind and emotion is an important part, and let's not completely get driven by technology. I think, and I would honestly request everyone to be cautious with the technology. While our technology sounds very exciting, and I also heard the session on metaverse, which was happening just before us, it's all very exciting. We should all adapt to it. At the same time, focus on implementation, do whatever you're doing right, rather than just keep on aping to the new technology and still not being able to optimize it. And I think we should be slow but steady. Consume technology, what you can live up to the promise, like the Blinkit 10-minute delivery. Amazing technology, but can the business really afford the 10-minute delivery across? Don't raise the expectations so high that you're not able to maintain it for a long time. And if you're able to do it, I think that's a winning formula. But a lot of people just start aping it and not really able to set the whole supply chain to it. I think so we need to be cautious in usage of technology. Don't overinvest and take under return out of it. So I think be stable is, I think, most important. Sometimes being little traditional can also be beneficial.
No, thank you for that. That was a very honest opinion. Manish, if you can build on that, and I mean, what Anupam also highlighted is that at the end of the day, having a strong supply chain and the applications of technology in that aspect at the back end really matters. It is what is going to make all the difference. What are the key technological trends that you are betting on? And if you can share an example of something you have implemented at Pepe.
So I think one is that Anupam rightly said that as in terms of while we need to invest in technology and look at as in interventions across the value chain, but at the same time be mindful that, and especially in a business like ours, which is fashion, as in I always say as in that we always used to take all our decisions based on gut. Today you have data to back it up, but do it right as in still use your gut and have data to back it up. Just don't take decisions on either of them because you have the advantage of both of them today. So I think that's the biggest learning that we have had. From a technology point of view, as in if you look at it, we've done multiple things as in across the value chain. So data plays the most important role. So how are you able to primarily as in look at consumer data and then process it and make it flow through the value chain right down to the supplier in terms of being able to take decisions. But I think within that, as a brand, and understand as in, when you look at it from a brand perspective, you are selling through multiple channels, you are working through multiple intermediaries, you have access to consumer sales data, but then it becomes a challenge in terms of how do you assimilate that data. So I think the biggest project that we are undertaking now is in terms of what we call as data lab. We are actually getting consumer data, sales data across the channels that we sell and creating one single view of the consumer and the sales that we are doing, just to as in predict that as in terms of, so we are able to then clearly see. So think of it as in today, a lot of channels within the same company are working in silos. So retail is doing something which a large format team is not aware, MBO team is not aware, and then online is working on a comparatively separate track. The idea is to get one single view of the consumer and then be able to establish these trends. If there is something which is happening in one channel and you are able to probably notice it first, is it something that's running across the value chain, and then you are able to take those decisions better. So I think that's the biggest initiative that we have taken from a technology perspective right now. And the reality is that end of the day, once you have that thing, as in you'll be much better off in terms of having better quality of data to support your decisions. But as Anupam rightly said, as in especially on a business like ours, which is fashion, you would have to have that combination, and I would say mental, emotional, and that data analytics approach, as in those would be the three combinations which would effectively as in create a winning strategy.
Absolutely. I think emotional quotient is an equally important metric to track. Apoorv, your comments on this?
I completely agree with Anupam, actually. Because, I'll give you an example where we have wasted money, right? So, came in COVID and our online team became very aggressive and they said, let's build our own technology in our D2C game. We spend a lot. And 1 year down the line, they said, there's a better player outside in the market who can give us the same technology at 1/10 of the cost, with 1/10 of the manpower that we required to run the older technology. And we had to switch. So what Anupam is sharing, I can add to that through my experience. That technology is amazing. It will always give you some extra benefit. But we as traditional retailers, we've always built businesses on gut. And that's what we have learned. But now I think we should use technology, but not lose the edge of our gut. And there are many examples, right? Examples that technology brought to us was, we need more customers in the store, right? Because at one point of time, we were struggling with footfalls. That was the easiest thing which technology said, that machine said that you're not getting the right audience. But when we actually analyzed, we sat together, what we figured out is that 50% of our business was coming through our loyalty base. So if you would have gone purely on technology, we would have said, okay, there's a problem of footfall. Let's spend more in marketing, get in more customers to the store. Vis-a-vis, what we figured out was that the problem was that our repeat purchase was low. And we went the other way around. The technology gave one answer, but we went the other way around. We made our loyalty base even more stronger in our system. And today, we have survived the last 4 years. It is because of our loyalty base. So they contribute to 50% of a business, and we've gone an extra mile. We've actually built technology to assist them. Vis-a-vis the other way around, to go by the technology route of bringing in more new customers to the store. So technology has a lot of merit, but you have to back technology with your own gut and some wiser decisions, because technology alone can sometimes be misleading, and you have to also be ready for the technology. I can say from my side that we as traditional businesses, sometimes we are not ready to adopt technology, and we jump into it. And in midway, we feel that, we're not ready for it. So you completely, from my experience, I think you should use technology, what you can use, what you can build on, and what you can absorb. Don't just blindly believe in technology.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
I would like to add my personal experience here on technology base. So our AI engines could forecast sales, and I think the amount of change of data we have observed in last 2 years, especially post-COVID, like our school shoe sales assumption this year was completely wrong because the previous year the spurt was too high. Ended up into oversupply. If I was using my own gut feel, I would have not, taken that decision. Pre-COVID, I used to visit at least 70 or 80 markets for sure to see the trends and observe the trends. And your technology team says you have all these trends available and you reduced your visit outside. Believe me, what you see with your eyes, with all senses, is non-comparable. And I think I would still want people to go to the market, see it for yourself rather than believing on to the technology piece and the data mine. Whatever data labs we set up, the physical touch and feel with your eyes and your senses. So don't let human emotion, die out to technology. I think keep that alive. The insights will be a lot better. Everybody should go to stores, see consumers themselves, meet consumers themselves. Data is just a aid. Don't get over dependent on your computer labs.
Right. I think this will be a very important. I think this speaks for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to add something though. I think what we are missing over here, what we are not, like, there is extreme power of understanding that human beings are emotional beings. And we need to eventually associate with that consumer, and that's what brand building is about. Tech is a critical enabler. And what we are also missing is that while tech is great, but we are assuming that, it is not supposed to help us. So it helps us massively. We use tech very loosely as data. We use tech very loosely as, analytics translated to data. It's nothing but a clear set of algorithm which translates what we are doing systematically in a much more repetitive manner. That's what tech is. So if we stop getting afraid of tech, start thinking कि ये teams ने ये कहा था या data नहीं कहा था, we are all saying the same thing, that we have to be close to the consumer. But we cannot eliminate the importance that tech brings in automation and reducing the redundancies of the work that we need to use. Without that, the complexity of the information and data that we work with is almost impossible to arrive. So this 10-minute delivery, you can never do manually. So there's merit in that. While we have to build the tech which enables this emotional connect with the consumers is where I at least come with. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think you've got the pulse.
Just one quick thing I'll just add. I think we are in this fashion conference, right? And I think the fashion especially is one of those things that's extremely emotional. Right? Fashion is identity. Fashion is self-expression, right? And tech can only play a role in accentuating it as opposed to dehumanizing it, right? But yeah, I mean, like the reality is there is tech that can totally humanize it even more. Like if you truly drill down into the fundamental building blocks of why somebody buys something, we believe very, very much tech can actually support it and drive deeper the value proposition.
While I was saying that, I was nowhere trying to say don't be using tech. So I think that's what not my.
All I'm saying is I think there is value in that. What happens is that, we are consistently thinking this is a traditional business, this is a real new business, etc. What we need to recognize that, as Apoorv said, that world is evolving, everything is changing, consumers are changing. So we need to be building businesses powered towards the consumers, which are the upcoming consumers. And in that process, we can leverage technology, but the power of product and connect with the human emotions doesn't go away.
Sure. So definitely to add on, or maybe my conclusive remark is, while we appreciate tech, but in a world of metaverse, which it makes person to just live in a four-walled, room and not even look out and just wear sunglasses and, experience beach or, a resort. My point is, let them let them go out, enjoy life and touch real things rather than only the artificial things. I think reality is need of the hour, and I think we should not make it kill the, environment.
Completely back at Anupam. Otherwise, you would be having this session through a Google Meet, right? You don't need this session, right? So, but Yeah, so, yeah, but yeah, if you have 14-year-old, there will be many point of views which will be very different.
Great. I think the bottom line is that tech is very clearly a very strong enabler to accentuate both offline and online experiences. There are no doubts in the role and the power that technology holds. But yes, India is a touch and feel market, and we have to tap that EQ absolutely. Great. This seems like the perfect moment to wrap our conversation. Uh, we can definitely take a conversation offline and discuss more on this. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in today. And thank you to the audience for being so patient. Thank you.